Welcome to Digital South Africa Today 2022, the forum which we use to demonstrate the available rich data about and in South Africa. This is why we hold the view that digital data is the new gold mine for this country. And those of you who know anything about the history of South Africa, you will know that at one stage, the country used to top the world in terms of gold mining. We believe that digital data is now the new gold for the country. That's where the relationship comes in. They call me Bra Willy. I am the founder and CEO of Initiate Digital Content Solutions. We are a performance marketing company with footprint on the continent, but we are based in Johannesburg, South Africa. So what is the topic of today? The topic of today is network effects. What inspired the focus on network effects was a report that a friend shared with me not so long ago about how the insurance industry spent their advertising money on the various media channels in 2021. And this report was published by Ornico Media, to whom I'm really very grateful. So let's have a look quickly what the report tells us. From an insurance perspective, again in 2021, insofar as the top 4 media channels go, they spend their money to the extent of 54% on TV, 26% on radio, 9% on print, and 6% on the internet. Now, this caught my attention because I actually published an article on digital advertising in South Africa, and you can check it out. It is called "How Big is the Size of Digital Economy in South Africa?" Check it out on our website, initiate.solutions. What caught my attention with this report is the internet spend contribution, because according to Statista, in 2018 alone, the percentage of spend on the internet in South Africa was already 15% or so. It really got me surprised that the insurance business in 2021, when the digital trend really grew exponentially, they spent only 6% of their money on the internet. You know, what made it even more interesting for me is the fact that they're spending more on print than they are on the internet, when print is dying in this country and everywhere else in the world. Let's just go back to the concept of network effects, because it will relate to this very insight that I got, which inspired this particular topic. So what is the definition of network effects? The phenomenon of network effect happens when the value of a brand is directly related to the usage base, which in simpler terms means every new user of that particular brand adds value to it. We see we've seen this happening with mainly the new age brands, but it's not a new phenomenon. Uber, Amazon, Facebook, Google, Netflix, and many of these new age brands have relied on the concept of the network effect to grow. And in fact, this concept is even sweeter when you have a situation where the addition of the new users gets to a point where the value of such a brand starts growing exponentially. And we've seen this with many of these new age brands. Okay, so really the definition of network effect is that the value of a brand grows when the user base grows. and there is a direct relationship between those two. Let's now talk about the theory that has been building around the network effect. Whilst this has been happening for as long as brands have been around, literally. You must remember that advertising itself is a fairly newer concept in a sense, versus the fact that people have been consuming brands across the world. There have been attempts by various people to try to explain how the network effect works. And the various such people, the theories that they have developed have been attributed to them, in this case, as laws. There are three main laws that apply to the network effect. The first one, which was developed by a gentleman called Sarnoff, who is actually credited for the television medium as we know it today. He came up with the concept that the network effect happens on a one-to-one basis, where a brand that sits at the middle has a relationship with one user at a time, and each such user adds value to such particular brand. But what has since happened is that a few other people have developed this very theory, which a son of tried to pen down, so to speak. The one such person is Metcalfe. Metcalfe is being credited for being one of the forerunners of the internet as we know it today. He is, the Ethernet is basically his brainchild, if you like. He's the one who really worked as hard as he did to make the Ethernet become their standard, insofar as the way computers talk to each other through a network. What Metcalfe did, he then said, one Sarnoff speaks about the one-to-one. In fact, the concept of the network effect is far bigger than that, because what happens is you don't only have a one-to-one relationship between a brand and a user. You actually have a relationship where these nodes connect with one another. He was using computers at this stage. So he then said these nodes do actually connect among themselves. Okay. What you can then see is that, over time, the level of networking between these nodes becomes bigger and bigger, and in fact, this is explained by the density. So essentially, what Metcalfe was saying is that the denser the network around a brand, the stronger such brand is going to become in terms of its value. Now, this is Metcalfe. There have been other people who, participated insofar as developing this theory of the network effects even further. But the last person who is being mentioned is Reeds. Okay, he came up with what is called Reed's law. He said, okay, building on what these previous gentlemen have said, about how the network effect works, there's even something else that we must add to it. And that something else is what is called the subgrouping within a network. So he said, there is an aspect of subgrouping that happens here, that happens here, that happens there, and so it goes. Okay, and you can keep going in terms of the subgrouping. As you can see, this speaks to the density as well, because the denser a network is around the brand, the stronger that brand gets. Football clubs make for a special mention in this regard when you consider the likes of Man U, despite how badly they've been performing lately, the Barcelonas, the Real Madrids, the Liverpools of this world, and also even within a South African context, Orlando Pirates, Kaizer Chiefs, and the other stronger local clubs, even though I don't believe that the local soccer clubs are using the concept of the network effect as well as they could. So what you're finding here is that as per Reed's law, the more you have the subgroups that are forming around the network of a brand, the higher the value of such a brand. Something else that I didn't show you here. Something else that I didn't show you here is that through these very users who you can call nodes, there could also be even bigger networks that are coming through there. Yeah. This is where the concept of the word of mouth is coming in. Now you have these nodes on their own starting to network. Where ultimately there's really no end to this, and you can keep going in terms of those additional nodes that came through the original nodes. And this, as I'm going to explain, it is important because it speaks to what brands should be doing to make sure that they build on the basis of the users that they have, because through those users that they have, they will be able to extend. I call those the silent salesmen, and I will come back to that concept in a second. Okay, let's go to the questions. Let's ask the questions around the network effects. The first question in this case is, what is the difference between network effects and influencer marketing? Well, influencer marketing is part of network effects. And in my view, it doesn't even tell the whole story. Feel free to go to our website and look for an article. I wrote 1 or 2 articles on the influencer marketing, and the point I was explaining there, if I can just write this down for you, the point I was explaining there is that you have, call it 2 extremes insofar as influencer marketing is concerned. You've got your mega influencers and you've got your nano influencers. Okay. Typically, you have to buy these guys to say anything about your brand. But these guys are your silent salesmen. They have a relationship with your brand, they love using your brand, and as a result, they are doing the bidding for your brand. And this is where the network marketing effect has got even more value than is the case with these guys, because everybody is clamoring to speak to these guys. In the context of South Africa, you're talking the Casper Nyovest, the Bonang Matebas, the Somizis, the Kanimbaus of this world. But here are the guys who are already using your brand regularly, and they're doing so quietly. They don't expect a payment from you, and they are aligning themselves with your brand so much that they use it as their badge of honor. You know, it's an indication that they belong. So, Influencer marketing is here, essentially. It's happening here as well, but this side, this is where the network effects are really taking hold more than is the case here. So I say that this here is like your bonfire type of strategy, but this is your simmering type of strategy that is happening on an ongoing basis without you having to even be there. So these are really the differences that explain network effects versus influencer marketing. And I said to brands, rather spend as much time as you can here than you do there. That amount of money that you spend on mega influencers, rather use it on your nano influencers, because there's sustainability here. Here there isn't sustainability. Okay? Let's move on to the next question. The next question is there a difference between network effects and community management? In fact, for brands, the best way to leverage network effects is through community management. This is why I started with the previous question, which was saying, is there a difference between network effects and influencer marketing? And I drew the difference between mega influencers and nano influencers, if we choose to call them that. The role of a brand in leveraging network effects lies in community management. And what do I mean by community management? Within the context of online media, and more specifically social media, when you have followers and fans, take the time to understand the profiles of those followers and fans. And there's plenty of tools to help you to be able to do that, including segmentation of your followers and fans, so that you can understand who's there and how often are they interacting with you, what are the things that they say, and how do they tend to interact with you. Because when you know that, you're able to do something in using your own community to grow your user base. And in doing so, the concept of the network effect and the density that comes with it is given even more amplification. So let us take the last question now. The last question here is, how do we leverage network media on the various channels? The latest digital report on South Africa shows that on average, a South African who has access to online media, they consume anything in the region of 8 different types of social networks. 8 different types. You would have thought that your count gets you to 4, maybe, because you'll be counting Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and say TikTok. When you expand the definition of social media, you will see that a typical South African includes the WhatsApp, they include LinkedIn, they include YouTube. That already gets you to 8. So the question is, how do you then leverage these different online channels to be able to amplify network effects? The answer to that is PESO model. What does PESO model stand for? PESO is an acronym. It stands for these media. In this order, despite how the acronym PESO is written, in this order: owned media, where you have your owned platforms, typically blogs, newsletters, and websites fall in here. And then you have shared media. This is where social media comes in. And then you have paid media, which is exactly that, paid media, the money that we spend on the various channels falls into this type of media. And lastly, end media. Okay, end media is again exactly that. The media that you earn on the basis of the things that people say about your brand unsolicited. That's end media. You want these 4 media types to integrate, and the best way to integrate them is to use them wisely together so that you hit this sweet spot. Because the more that you do, the density of your communications increases, as opposed to using them sparsely on their own. Use them together with a view to integrate, so that you integrate your density of communications. Because when you do so, you are able to meet your consumers who are consuming so many different types of media. You're able to meet them at their preferred point of contact. That's how the network effects can be leveraged using the PESO media model. But I want to just interest you in something else that you may not have thought about. Oh, see, I haven't done that yet. I'd like to add here what I choose to call employed media. Employed media. Every brand typically has got employees, and the question is, can you use your employees to do the bidding for you? You would naturally expect that they that comes with the territory, that comes with the paycheck at the end of the month. But how can you be deliberate around using your employees, who I call employed media, to be able to assist insofar as doing the bidding for your brand, as part of trying to leverage network effects and ensuring that you have an integrated way of communicating? Because believe it or not, your employees are saying stuff about your brand. They may not be saying it openly, they may not be saying it on social media even, because for some of the brands, there are policies that disallow employees to say anything about the brands online. The ESCOMs of this world are one such example, where employees even get fired if they say anything about ESCOM, good or bad for that matter. So your employed media, your own employees, can play a critical role insofar as the network effects go. That's that about network effects. In summary, I hope I was able to do justice to what network effects is about, starting with what inspired it, the definition, how brands can leverage it, and the usage of the various media types to be able to increase the density of a network of a brand, so that network effects itself as a concept can be fully leveraged. I want to now close with the inspiration that really got me to think about network effects, which is about how the insurance industry in South Africa are spending their money on the various media channels. I showed you the top 4: TV 54%, radio 26%, print 9%, and the net only 6%. I'm surprised, I must say, by that spend, because you get the best leverage of the network effect on online media, on the internet, more than you do on the non-internet media. I would have expected that the insurance industry, made up of brands like Clientele, Old Mutual, My Way, Outsurance, Dial Direct, Budget, and you can keep counting. I would have expected that, in line with the digital trends anyway, they're starting to spend more of their money digitally on digital platforms and not on non-digital platforms. And even so, print. As I indicated, We are Initiate Digital Content Solutions. We are a performance marketing company. We have footprint on the African continent, but we're based in Johannesburg, South Africa. We assist brands really to be able to leverage their digital assets, and we do a good job of it, really focusing on content marketing for the various clients which we do work for. If you want to talk to us, please visit our website. You will find the full details there, and that marks the end of today's session. Thank you.